Hello, this is the Lord's Legion yet again, and welcome back to another Avengers Alliance video. And finally, we are about to see all the Lockbox heroes that I've unlocked in the game, and I'm going to review every single one of them. And just a heads up, I haven't unlocked every single Lockbox hero in the game, but if you want to see any hero of your interest, go down in the description and look for the shortcuts. So without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, we have Magneto, and considering he's the first Lockbox hero, Magneto is phenomenal. Magneto could instantly magnetize any metal users against the enemy team, and they can never brush this off, which can be fatal to the enemy team because not only are they unable to do critical hits, but also unable to avoid attacks. Plus, Magneto has a catastrophic AoE attack which exploits magnetism, plus his level 9 ability can grant shield to all of his allies, and if the shields are broken then he has a chance of gaining extra turns. Magneto has always been amazing as a character, and every patches has made him all the more powerful. Up next we have Omega Sentinel, and I have to admit she is rather tricky to play as. This is mainly due to the fact that she has 3 different classes, as well as 3 different forms and 3 different sets of abilities. Her Scrapper form allows her to exploit shields and protection, as well as having a lot of firepower under her belt. Her Bruiser form is more defensive, and not only is she able to take reduced damage from counterattacks and follow-up attacks, but she's also able to defend her whole allies as well as heal all of them up. While her Tactician form allows her to follow up an attack whenever an ally attacks or gets hit, and not only that, could also do mirror image and disorientate a single enemy. Omega Sentinel is very difficult to master, but once you get to master all of her forms, then she is a very formidable hero to have on your side. Plus she gains bonuses for having 2 attacks per turn. Next we have the Juggernaut, and he really lives up to his name. He's immune to getting stunned and incapacitated, and he's also immune to any mental attacks. Therefore the Juggernaut is able to brush off any single psychic debuff. The more Juggernaut fights, the more he gains momentum, which not only makes him stronger, but also gains him more stamina, which therefore makes Juggernaut able to fight for a very long time and never get tired. Not to mention his level 2 could destroy any shields, as well as his level 6 having a one-shot kill potential. And his level 9 allows all of his allies as well as himself to get stronger and increase the damage of any unarmed melee attacks, therefore making the Juggernaut all the more of a tank than he already is. Up next we have Elektra, and she is so fun to play as. She has Master Assassin, in which she has a 20% chance of dodging a melee attack, only to counterattack their moves anyway. Plus near enough all of her attacks can do internal bleeding, which is impossible to get rid of. Plus her level 1 basic attack can trigger any bleeds. Her level 2 can give the enemy flanked, in which any single target attack can have a follow-up attack against that single target enemy. And to top it all off, she has a fatal blow attack, in which if she can assassinate a single enemy under 20% health, then they are guaranteed to die. And at the end of the day, Elektra is one of the best infiltrators in the game. Now we get to Loki, and although he was weak in the original patch, the later patches has actually made Loki all the more powerful. He has a 20% chance of dodging any attack, only to counterattack with a backstab, which could exploit any damage over time effects. Plus his level 1 throwing daggers has the ability of doing either Soulfire, Dark Void or Death Frost. His level 2 attack can grant Chaos Fog, in which that enemy, instead of damaging any target, would instead give them health in the process, and that never goes away until it happens. His level 6 quick action attack can grant Trickster, in which instead of having all of the enemies have their buffs, they have negative effects and have the debuffs in relation to their current buffs that they had before. Loki is more about debuffs than full on attacks, but if you use him correctly then he is an amazing character regardless. Next we have Sabretooth, and he is insanely powerful. His regen abilities is insane enough as they are, but if you get him to 0% health the first time around, he will gain 50% of his health back, and not only that, would give him the ability of having 2 attacks per round. The more you use his level 1 ability, the more he will gain stacks of blood rage and sharpened claws, in which will make him all the more strong. Not only will that exploit bleeding, but it also exploits any damage over time effects and can consume all blood rage to make the attack even more deadly. And in his Berserker form, he has a chance to retaliate against any attacks, as well as follow up his attacks afterwards. And overall, Sabretooth is amazing. Next we have Dr. Doom, and he is so powerful. He is unable to team up against any other hero outside of the Agent. Dr. Doom can apply Ring and Peril to all enemies every round, which not only has the ability of draining their health every round, but also gives them a chance to fail their attacks. Not only that, his level 1 has the ability of weakening any enemies by 45% and make them unable to do critical hits, as well as draining their health and stamina by a huge fraction. His level 2 can do Chaos Shots, in which can do a wide variety of damage over time effects, and he also has a chance of draining any enemy's energy and make it as his own, making them all the more powerful. He can also summon his minions, in which can grant him the abilities of doing focus attacks, enraged, or follow-up attacks. Oh, and don't forget about the Doom Cannon. Next we have Taskmaster, and he is so fun to play as. Much like Mockingbird, Taskmaster has the ability of changing into any classes. However, unlike here, Taskmaster gains their benefits, but none of their weaknesses. And his abilities are so broad, I can't even cover them all up. But in a short summary, Taskmaster is capable of doing opportunist debuffs against any classes he is up against. And he is able to gain powers from blasters, scrappers, bruisers, tacticians, infiltrators, and even generalists. Taskmaster has so many abilities, but at the same time he's kinda straightforward to use and is always fun regardless. Next we have Sandman, and he is such a pleasant surprise because he is surprisingly very good. Not only is Sandman immune to most damage over time effects, but he is also able to make himself all the more stronger and increase his stats through several different ways. He could use his level 1 attack, which will grant him grit every time he uses that attack until he has all 5 stacks up his sleeve. He could also use his quick action level 2, in which can give him rising up buffs, and considering he's already a bruiser, if he gets attacked by a scrapper, he gains enraged naturally. And if you have all of his powers stacked, then he could use his deadly level 6 to do a one-hit KO, or do massive damage against the whole enemy team with his level 9. Next we have Kang the Conqueror, and much like Doom, he can't team up with any other heroes outside of the Agent. And despite that, I don't think Kang is really all that exciting. Kang's base form is mostly about doing a lot of destruction, but unless you use his back in time form and set up all the debuffs, they don't really do so much. And despite how in his normal form, he has the ability of doing a pre-counter, however that almost never happens whenever I use Kang. In his out of time form, Kang is able to dodge 50% of attacks, which again doesn't really proc a lot with me. However, he's also capable of doing time stream displacement against any enemies, as well as even giving himself a shield. Maybe I didn't have enough time with Kang, however I wish I did because he did seem rather promising. Next we have Hybrid, and much like Sandman, Hybrid has surprised me by a long shot. Much like other symbiotes, Hybrid does have an insane healing factor, and if one of his allies die, then Hybrid has a chance of gaining increased stats. Hybrid's level 9 is an AoE attack, in which can not only remove all buffs, but can also do opportunist debuffs, and his level 1 attack can not only exploit that, but can also do deadly crits, which is very devastating. Hybrid does have the ability of changing classes depending on costumes, but considering I use him in his base form as a blaster, he can do just as well anyway. Up next we have Enchantress, and I'm not gonna lie, she is a bit of a slow burn. And that's not to say that she's bad, she really isn't. The problem is, she's all about setup, which takes a long time before we get to use her massive level 9 attack. Her level 1 attack can do Chaos Shot as well as Bane to a single target attack. However, if she has more charges, she can do it multiple times per round. Her level 2 quick action can apply Mind Control as well as Charmed. Her level 6 is also a quick action in which can do Smitten as well as Disorientate. Plus her level 9 is an AoE attack that could exploit all of these effects that she can do. If you can team it up with the likes of Cloak and Dagger or even Magic for that matter, then you could minimize the setup and it can make her all the more better for it. Next we have the Destroyer, and he is an underrated gem. The Destroyer is immune to most things such as stuns, mental attacks, poison, and even delirium effects to name a few. His level 2 attack can incapacitate as well as destroy shields, only for his level 1 to exploit both debuffs with deadly crits. And depending on the stacks of destructive essence, the Destroyer has a chance of either protecting allies from certain attacks, gain certain amounts of heals, or even have the ability of gaining more turns. And at the end of the day, the Destroyer is amazing as a character, and it's such a shame that people kinda overlook the guy. Next we have the Superior Spider-Man, and despite how basic he may seem on paper, he is still fun regardless. Plus he has a chance of countering attacks as well as gaining critical hits, and can even do monologues in which can debuff certain enemies. He can also target any enemies with webbed, and any webbed enemies can trigger a single target counter attack. His level 6 attack can also do open wounds, in which can do stacks of bleeds, and his level 2 not only has deadly crits and can exploit bleeds, but also has fatal blow. And to top it all off, his AoE level 9 attack can downgrade certain enemies, disabling any tech abilities a hero could have. And at the end of the day, Superior Spider-Man is a rather fun character to play as. Up next we have Baron Mordo, and he is a rather interesting character. The lower his health is and the higher his stamina is, the stronger his attacks become. Plus he's immune to brutal strikes, brutal effects, and fatal blow. Plus he can give himself his own shield. His level 2 ability can make him phased, and if he can use it again, he can attack a certain enemy and apply Despair. His level 6 ability can apply Chaos Shot as well as Breakdown, applying a lot of damage over time effects. And his level 1 attack can exploit all damage over time effects, and can do a shit ton of damage. And with all that being said, Baron Mordo is an amazing character. Now we get to Howard the Duck, and considering he was the last Lockbox hero I've unlocked in the game, my time with him is rather limited. Howard the Duck can gain grit whenever he gets attacked, which not only grants him a chance of gaining extra turns, but if you can use his level 1 ability, then he can do a shit ton of damage. He can also use Coulson's Revenge, summon squirrels, bring a whole sword that can do open wounds, and can even use his Neurotrope, which can apply a load of buffs. And if you use his Ductini, then he can dodge attacks, counter attacks, follow up attacks, ignore defense, and so on and so forth. I wish I had a bit more time playing with Howard the Duck, but from what I know, he is a rather fun character. Next we get to the Winter Soldier, and he is phenomenal to play as. His level 1 attack not only does a lot of damage on its own, but he is also able to counter-attack anything. His level 2 attack can reduce potential as well as following up any single target attacks. His level 9 attack can do fatal blow, and to top it all off, he has a shit ton of mines that can do a lot of damage. If you use all his mines and set them up correctly, then chances are they will have massive destruction. Next we have the Lizard, and I honestly love playing as this character. The Lizard has a great regeneration power as well as being capable of being stronger every round. In his tactician form he is capable of doing disadvantage with any of his attacks, while with his scrapper form he is able to block out any mental attacks. The main thing you want to do with the Lizard is just set up all of his attacks by using his level 1 and apply poison and bleed against any enemy. Only to follow that up with his level 9, in which can exploit all of that as well as opportunity effects, and could even trigger bleeds. And if you love Kraven the Hunter so much, then chances are you're gonna love the Lizard as well. Up next we have Electro, and he is shockingly so powerful. He takes reduced damage from electricity attacks, and he is able to power himself up the more electricity is placed within the battlefield. With his level 2 ability, not only are you able to apply disadvantage to all enemies, but you also have a chance of giving yourself more stamina as well as gaining extra turns. His level 6 AoE attack is the perfect setup move in which could apply a lot of electricity based debuffs. And with his level 9 you can either use a one-shot kill, or you could just do an AoE attack in which could obliterate a whole enemy team. And at the end of the day, Electro is surprisingly very powerful. Next we have the Shocker, and in comparison to the other Sinister Six members, Shocker kinda pales in comparison. That's not to say Shocker's bad by any means, but in comparison to most other Lockbox heroes, he just kinda falls flat on his face. His level 2 attack can do disoriented as well as internal bleeding, or you could use another variation of that in which you could get rid of their beneficial buffs as well as their class abilities. And you can also use his level 1 to trigger bleeds. His level 6 ability can do Shell Shock as well as cause shockwaves, which is a good gateway of using his level 9 in which could exploit all sorts. Again, Shocker isn't a bad hero by any stretch, but when he pales in comparison to other Lockbox heroes, it's kind of a bit of a problem. And finally we get to Ronan, and he is made to be a god. He can gain many turns in a single round, as well as gain everyone a chance of doing a critical hit. His level 1 has a near fatal effect in which anyone under 20% health will instantly die. His level 2 AoE attack can do pressure points as well as potentially stun a whole enemy team. His level 6 abilities can either grant himself a shield that could get rid of debuffs, weaken enemies by doing opportunist debuffs, or give all allies extra turns, rising up buffs, and even have all their abilities exploit opportunity debuffs. And if you use his level 9 attack correctly, then it has a chance of one-shotting a whole enemy team. And at the end of the day, Ronan is one of the most powerful characters in the game. So this concludes this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, please like and subscribe, take care, and as always, have a good one.